Hi, I'm Lisa Rangel with Chameleon Resumes, a premier executive resume writing company, and thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're going to talk about how to tactically add hope to your job search. You know, it's been a rough few months for a lot of people where, the opportunities haven't panned out as they've expected. They're not getting responses, and it's just been a tough couple of months. And when you're not having outcomes go the way you planned or go the way you hoped, it can feel like your world is kind of closing in on you sometimes. It's hard to see where there's opportunity. It's hard to see where there's possibility. And I've experienced it myself, that feeling. We're certainly not unique in that way in feeling it, and we're definitely not alone. So I want to share with you just some of the things that I do to just sort of broaden my perspective a bit and just to help you move things forward. So I hope some of this works for you. So to I can't say that word. to tactically, at least ChatGPT isn't doing this, right? On my errors here. But anyway, to tactically add hope into your job search, I want you to think of possibilities, right? So this is what I was thinking about. If you go to a website, and I'm going to put the link to the comments, so make sure you go there, for the Department of Professional Employees. This is a website, and they say that they are 88 million people working in 2020 in professional jobs, right? So in the US, 88 million, 8.4 million people to be exact, that in 2020 are working in professional jobs. Now, I know, and professional level office workers is what they're calling it. So that can be any level, right? But there's 88 million people working in corporations across America, right? So to me, that is almost an endless supply of possibilities, right? Now, that might be way too broad. Obviously, no one's going to contact 88 million people for their job search, but you need a microscopic percentage of that to work for you, to get leads. That's how I think. I have a story that I wrote a number of years ago about my time recruiting in Manhattan. And a couple weeks ago, I was in Manhattan, and it always brings me back when I'm walking around and I see all the tall buildings. And when I was selling recruiting services in Manhattan, I would, some days I was feeling great that I was going to bring jobs back to my office and we'd have things to work on, because that was my job. I had to go find the jobs, which is why our job landing tactic training is really great, because I knew how to find jobs. So I help people find jobs that they can then apply for themselves or network into for themselves. So anyway, that's a side note. But when I was a recruiter and selling recruiting services, and I had to go out and find jobs to bring back for my team and I to work on, some days weren't so good, right? As a salesperson, some days you had bad days and you wondered if you were going to ever get another job assignment again. And so on days like that, what I would do is, I'd walk around Manhattan, and all the buildings, right? All the buildings had thousands and thousands of windows. To me, each of those windows represented somebody sitting behind that window, right? Somebody I could get a meeting with and maybe pitch my services. Now, clearly, we want to be a little bit more strategic about that. We don't want to just go knocking on doors going, got a job for me to work on. Absolutely not. But I'm just talking about this in an inspirational, big picture kind of way, right? Each of those windows was a possibility where I could get a meeting, and that could be a possible buyer. And so then I would look at the horizon before me, right? And I'd see all these windows, and I'm like, oh my God, it's all this opportunity. So I just got to start having meetings, right? I got to start making phone calls, and I got to start, emailing people and just set up meetings. And so now this was, when I recruited, I stopped recruiting. My last retained assignment was in like 2010 or 11. And Obviously recruiting has changed since then. I still have a strong network of recruiters that I keep abreast on what's going on and how things work. But we have had nothing other than expansion in opportunity, right? We have a lot more windows now in the form of internet access. We have so much information before us, right? We have lists of companies. We have LinkedIn with people who work at those companies. We have conference lists. We have speaker lists. We have all of this stuff right at our fingertips. Right at our fingertips. Blogs, Substacks. I can go on and on, right? Magazine articles, people quoted in those online magazine articles that you can reach out to. So, there is an endless supply of people you can reach out to start a conversation with. And then even the people that you have things in common with, corporate alumni, college alumni, right? You don't have to be of the same class. You don't have to have work together. But, if you went to Syracuse, somebody graduated from Syracuse in 2006 and you graduated in 2001 or 1987, you all went to Syracuse. Everybody reach out to each other regardless of their class, right? So, and then same with, if you worked at Price Waterhouse or you worked at, Oracle, a company that has a really strong alumni program, you can go reach out to alumni from those organizations. And if you worked at a small company that doesn't have maybe a structured corporate alumni program, you can look on LinkedIn for people who used to work at your company, right? Or if you used to work there, look for people who work there now. And that's your corporate alumni, right? So we all have our own networks. And, if you're in the military and you're looking to transition to civilian work, look for people who did the same transition. Look for people who used to work in your branch of the military or any branch of the military and see where they're working and reaching out. So, regardless of our paths, we all have our alumni networks, right? We all have access to magazine articles, online magazine articles, obviously, where, not only there's the author to reach out to, but the people quoted in the articles. I can go on and on and on and on, right? The literal windows, and I know there's no pun intended given that Microsoft's, product is Windows, but which is not, anyway, that phone, computer, tablet, desktop that you have sitting in front of you, assuming you have access to the internet, you can come up with 20 names of people to reach out to. You can find ways of reaching out to them. Social media is half the time you can find, if you Google their name and the word email, you might be able to find an email address. There's so many ways to reach out and find people or find people and then reach out. So I often talk to people and they're like, I don't have any contacts. And then I'll, look at their LinkedIn profile and I have, 3,472 connections. And I'm like, have you reached out to anybody lately? You got 3,472 connections. And they're like, oh yeah. So think of where it's possible, because Lord knows it's really easy to find where it's not possible. But find where it's possible. Work with what is happening in a good way. Work with, if you reach out to 10 people, focus on the 3 that get back to you. Don't worry about the 7 that didn't. We tend to, and I'm awesome at this, focusing on what didn't happen, right? Focusing on the 7 that didn't get back to me. Focus on the 3 that got back to me, right? So look for what's possible. So how you tactically, I don't know why I can't say that word today, tactically, how you tactically add hope into your job search is look at where the lists in your life exist and use them, capitalize on them. Don't worry about the list that you don't have. Don't worry about the school you didn't go to. Don't worry about the company you didn't work for. Yes, somebody else may have a little bit of a stronger network. So what? You have a network. Start there. It could be your town. It could be your high school. It can be whatever it needs to be, but start where you are. And don't worry about what you don't have. Don't worry about who's not getting back to you. Start with what you have, which I'm going to guarantee you is a blessing and a lot. So, if you feel like you need a little infusion of hope there, DM me. If you're interested in having us help you expand your search with, what you think you've done everything, I can tell you we can probably find some more things for you to do, I promise. You might need our job landing services, our job landing tactic training services. So make sure that you just DM me and I can show you the next steps to make that happen. So I hope this helped you. If you found that this was resonating with you, I'm going to ask you to like it. If you know of someone who can benefit from this video, I'm going to ask you to share it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so you do not miss next week's channel. If you have a question, a comment, feel free to either DM me or post it below. I do my best to read and reply to every email. And if you can say tactically better than me, we're going to give you extra points today. All right. Thanks for sticking around with me today. Have a great day.